my dear ones, my flowers in my garden, my lights, my dancing lights on the earth. I am Quan Yin. I am Quan Yin speaking from the garden. I am Quan Yin. Open your heart and feel the garden within. Open your heart and let the light in. I am Quan Yin. I am Quan Yin. Children of the light, I speak to you. I see where you have suffered and where you have pain. I speak to you. I speak to those of you now in female bodies, opening your heart to the garden. I speak to you of your wombs, and I speak to you of your breasts, and I speak to you of bodies that were formed to be softer, to be more open. And I speak to you of the pain that has been caused to many of you in female form because of that openness to the emotional body, that openness in your hearts. I am Quan Yin. I speak to you. I am Quan Yin. I speak to you from the flowers and the vibration of the flowers. I speak to you about the flowers within your own being. Each one of you, whether you are in a male or a female body, has the male-female vibration within you. And you are learning to balance that within yourselves now. What is happening is that the male or female aspect of you that has been smothered, that has been overridden by one aspect within, is coming to the surface now. If you are feeling pain in the body, particularly in the belly, the womb area, the lower back, you are experiencing now the emotional part of the female aspect being overridden by the male. Think of this not necessarily in the outer world, but in the inner world, in your own world within you. Do your actions reflect the need for gentleness, for love, for joy, for support? Do the actions that you take in your day, in your world, in your interactions in relationship, reflect the need to be gentle and loving and compassionate with the self? We speak to you both in male and female bodies. We speak to those of you in the male bodies. Those of you in the male bodies have experienced lifetimes as females as well, just as those of you in the female bodies have experienced lifetimes as males. There's a great deal of healing going on in the earth at this time. Think not that there are not other systems holding material beings such as yourself that are divided into other gender forms that have divided the selves in some ways to experience life. There are. And so there is a great healing going through the universe at this time between the male and female vibration. And your earth reality in particular, the suffering of the female, the suffering of the intuitive self, the suffering of the gentle self, the suffering of the flow self has been great. For that self has been ignored through many eons, given over to the desire to do. You are such creators. There is such creative light in you that the feeling or the experience of creation and creation force did not always seem or feel like it was divided equally between the genders that you chose to separate in. And so sometimes there was jealousy, and so sometimes there was superiority, and so sometimes there was competition. And the competition pushed you away from one another. There was a fear of the great mystery of woman being able to create a living form, a living being within her being. And so there was jealousy around that and a desire to subvert it, desire to make it less than by some fearful beings in the more yang or male presence body. At the same time, there was competition with those bodies that seemed stronger and more able to create and do in the worldly way, in the manufacturing of tools or the providing of food or so on and so forth. And so the genders disrespected one another. And so the internal disrespect of the intuitive self and the logical self created a rift in the world. And so all of you have rifts inside of you. And you're in the process of healing those rifts that will be felt. And so most of the pain that you feel in the specific bodies or the specific areas of your life, and take a breath right now and feel what has been painful to you simply this week or this month. What painful experiences have you had? What emotions have risen to the surface? Shame, anger, frustration, fear. Those bits and pieces that have risen to the surface are shadow reflections of the bits and pieces that forgot that they are spirit, that they are light. And so you are coming into wholeness. We speak to you. Enjoy your femininity. Enjoy your wombs and your breasts, your ability to nurture and nourish. And nurture and nourish yourselves. Those of you in the male body, enjoy your abilities to nurture and nourish as well. You have the yin energy deeply within you. And for so long, to keep many of you sensitive male souls from opening to it, there was derisive energy and ridicule towards being open, towards being in your softness and your feminine. And so you have become confused. You have forgotten that you are whole and that you are equal and that there's equanimity in all things. And you have forgotten to come into wholeness. The fullness of the moon, as it goes through its phases, as you experience it being non-existent and then a small crescent in the sky and a larger one and a half moon and then a full moon, as you experience those phases of it, you get this idea of growth constantly. As you experience the journey of the seasons in your earth, and you see the time of spring and the time of growth and the time of life, and you see the time of summer, the time of enjoying the abundance and the weather and the fruits and the vegetables and the growth, and you see the time of fall when you gather and you harvest it up, and you see the leaves beginning to turn and fall and wither, and you see the time of the deep winter, of the scarcity, of the closing. You get the idea of the movement, of the growth, of the lack, of the wholeness, and you see that it is all one. You have separated out so much that you have forgotten how to be all one and how to be all one together on the planet.